guys, I hope you have all enjoyed watching my Turkish backpacking series. And those of you who are new here, I just got back from an amazing 2 weeks of backpacking throughout Turkey. I am coming at you guys today with a budget breakdown of my trip in the hopes that it will give you a good idea on how much you can expect to spend when backpacking Turkey. Now, I was traveling in peak summer season, and I know that prices do tend to drop during the winter or the off-season months, so definitely keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to be giving you the budget breakdown in Turkish lira, but I will have conversions on the screen throughout the video, and do keep in mind that these conversion rates do tend to fluctuate. But regardless, I hope it will give you guys a pretty good idea of how much you can expect to spend when backpacking Turkey. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's get into the budget breakdown. There's no beating around the bush here. I spent 10,174.70 lira in the 17 days that I was in Turkey, which averages to about 600 Turkish lira a day, and I think that's pretty good considering we were traveling in peak summer season. Now, this figure does not include any flights whatsoever. It is just the money that I literally spent inside the country. My biggest expense by far on this trip was accommodation, coming in at 3,733 lira total. And we really tried to find the cheapest accommodation possible in all of the locations that we visited. The most expensive hostel that we stayed in was in Olympus, and it came to 282.50 lira per night. But this did include breakfast and dinner, so talk about bang for your buck. And the cheapest place we stayed at was in Pamukkale, and it was actually a hotel, coming in at 155 lira per night. I was very surprised looking at the figures for that one. So if we average it out, or rather get the computer to do that for me, I spent on average 222.666666666 lira. See what I did there? I am so sure that if you're traveling Turkey on the off season, you're going to save yourself a ton of money on accommodation. If you want to know more about accommodation and finding the perfect itinerary for backpacking Turkey, I recently made a video on this topic, which I will leave linked below and up here on the screen. So don't forget to check that out if you want a more in-depth look at the places we stayed. Now, the next biggest expense for me was unsurprisingly food. You guys who have been subscribed for a while, or have even just watched my vlogs, would know that food is such an important part of my life. I am one of those people that are so much more willing to spend money on food or going out to restaurants than on new clothes, for example. So with that being said, I made a category called actual nourishing food, like food that I really needed to eat to survive. And that came to a total of 2,229 lira and 20 cents. Do they say cents in Turkey? But I actually think that figure is really good because I didn't want to limit myself. I wanted to eat all of the yummiest food that Turkey has to offer us. Then we have a little subcategory which includes coffee, cakes and snacks, which came to a total of 489 lira 50. So if we add those two categories together, I spent on average 160 lira per day on food. The cheapest meal that I got in Turkey cost 43 lira, and it was the most delicious Turkish kebab ever. And when I look at the averages, the meals that I ate out cost, it's around 130 lira to eat out at a restaurant, give or take. The next biggest expense by 2 lira was transport, coming in at 1,472 lira. We traveled from Istanbul all the way to Antalya over the 17 days, and we did that all by taking public buses. The most expensive bus cost us 509 lira, and it was a 10-hour bus ride from Istanbul to Denizli. But I do think we kind of ripped ourselves off here because we purchased the tickets on the Flixbus website. At the time, we had no idea that you could just wander into a bus station, get your tickets and get going, and it would actually end up to be a lot cheaper. So definitely keep that in mind, which will save you some money. Normally we went with the company Camelcock because we found that they weren't yelling at us to try and buy their tickets, and also they brought around food and drink, like little snacks and drinks while we were on the bus. And yeah, that did it for me. I absolutely loved traveling with this company. Now, once we were out of the bigger cities, we only took minibuses, and it cost around 70 lira to take a 4-hour minibus, but the cheapest minibus that we did take cost us 55 lira, and that was from Olympus to Antalya. Now, I have to admit, I was a bit of a tight ass when it came to doing activities. Like, for example, I really wanted to do paragliding in Oli Deniz, but I just absolutely could not justify parting with 130 euros as a backpacker traveling on a budget. I spent 1,470 lira on doing activities, and I definitely think the price of activities increased over the busy summer season. The most expensive activity I did was rock climbing in Olympus, which cost 430 lira, but it was so worth it. A hammam in Istanbul cost us 330 lira, and the entrance to Pamukkale's UNESCO World Heritage Site, natural hot spring pools, blah blah blah, was 200 lira. Other than that, we tried to do a lot of free or very cheap activities, like doing the walking tour in Istanbul, wandering around the cities, and also just chilling at the beach as we were traveling down the coast. Other categories I spent money on in the name of transparency: beer at 514 lira, and just other stuff at 287 lira. Stuff as in very subjective to me. I bought a headband. But just to give you an idea on beer, we spent 50 to 60 euros lira in the supermarkets on these big size beers. Honestly, shopping and alcohol weren't really a priority for me on the trip, so that's why I really didn't spend much money in these two categories. So if you want to save money while backpacking, we all know that drinking alcohol and shopping can really push you over your budget limit. So guys, there you have it. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you're keen to keep up with all my adventures. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have the most amazing time traveling Turkey, and I'm gonna stop rambling. Bye!